This is Joe Xanthopoulos. We're doing our Chat with Joe meeting this afternoon here. And I would ask for those of you who are on the phone, if you could please put your phone on mute or silent. If you don't have a mute or silent button, if you could hit *6, *6, that would put your phone on mute or silent. That way there's no background noise during the presentation. If you have a comment, an idea, or a question at any point in time and you're on the phone, take your phone off of mute or silent and just go right ahead and share your question or information that you would like to share. We'll go through the full agenda, and then at the end of the agenda, we'll also have an opportunity for questions and comments as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our chaplain, Etta, who's going to lead us in prayer. Etta?
Let's pray. Our kind and most gracious, loving Heavenly Father, God, we come assembled before the foot of your cross and asking you for your protection, asking you for your guidance, asking you for your provision, but most of all, God, we come asking for your love. We thank you for how you are guiding us and leading us as we navigate through the changes that have happened in our world during this pandemic, but knowing that you promised that you would never leave us nor forsake us, that you're always present with us. And you said that nothing will separate us from your love, nothing in all creation, above the earth, in the earth, under the earth, nothing whatsoever will separate us from your love. And in that we stand so reassured. So we ask, God, that you would embrace us today, continue to care for us as we care for others, as we live to the greatest commandment, to seek you first with all of our heart, our soul, our minds, and our being, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Thank you for this community to which we've been called. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Etta. Okay, the agenda for today, we'll go through the Executive Director report, and then we've invited Linda Weber from our accounting department, who's going to do a presentation on managed care, a very important presentation for our residents. And then we'll have Maria and Pam, who are going to talk about assisted living in Porter Mcgrath updates. And Samantha wasn't able to make it today because she's doing the assisted living program. And so Etta's going to share updates on life enrichment as well as a spiritual life report. And then we'll have questions and comments at the end. I'm going to start off with the residential living and independent living COVID protocols. The update that went out last Wednesday, and we did our the update that went out last Wednesday outlines all of the different update protocols for residential living and independent living. I'm just going to briefly go through them, and then if there's any additional changes, we'll put that into the Wednesday update of this week, and then we'll do our follow-up call this Thursday. So if there's any questions that come out of the today's meeting or the information that comes out on Wednesday, we'll be happy to address those in the call on Thursday. In the main dining room, our team is looking at reopening the main dining room based on the numbers of staff, making sure right now we're short in hiring 2 cooks. So we're in the process of trying to get those 2 positions filled. And we've been asking for about a month for feedback from residents about what you think of us if we open it and then we have a couple of positive cases and have to close it again. So one of the things that we're talking about in our Friday meetings is there a way to maintain the main dining room to some level for a group of residential living and independent living residents, even should we get 1 or 2 positive cases at any point in time? So we're still talking that through and working that out, trying to determine if that would be prudent to do so and under what protocols could we do that. But for right now, that is our discussion. It takes our dining program about 14 days to shift, because if we go from the program we have now, which is all delivery, into residential living and independent living, and then the usual program that's provided in assisted living and Port of Mcgrath for communal dining. We have to change our menu, change, the items, what we order. Can we get things? Because it's been fairly challenging to get certain produce and items for the food for our program. And so we got to wait to see. It takes about 14 days to get everything ramped up. So again, provide myself or Dean input if you would rather have us just continue to wait until we feel like it's pretty certain that we won't be opening and closing, or if you prefer we do open and try our best to maintain it, and if the numbers change, then we will have to shut it down again. But that's what we're working through right now, working with our clinical leadership team to look at how could we do that safely, even if we had 1 or 2 positive cases in independent living or residential living. So we'll continue to work through that. When it comes to visitation and Port of Mcgrath and assisted living, I'll ask Maria and Pam to cover the visitation protocols for Port of Mcgrath and assisted living. We're asking that all residents and staff continue to wear your mask and social distance inside the building. No cloth masks will be allowed in Port of Mcgrath or assisted living. So continue to wear your mask and social distancing when inside our buildings. In independent living and residential living visitation, residents who have visitors coming onto the campus from outside no longer need to have their visitors screened at the Port of Mcgrath AL entrance. You may have outside guests in your homes and apartments at your discretion, but we strongly encourage you to remain masked and ask your guests to remain masked while inside. And anyone showing symptoms should not be allowed in your home for your own safety. Transportation services, if you look at the scoop, Rick and his team have put together a limited transportation shopping schedule that has Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays that are set up for transportation for those who don't drive and prefer to get out and do their own shopping rather than using Instacart. We had about half a dozen residents who had said that they would like us to get the transportation program underway so they can do their own shopping. So we're going to move this forward. Key things that are required is you need to be masked the entire time, and you need to hand sanitize getting on and getting off of the bus. And any type of transportation that we provide, we'll do social distancing in the vehicle, in the buses, so we can only take a smaller group, and that will be coordinated through our transportation, which is extension 137. Or phone number 577-6037. So again, for any transportation needs, please call Lisa at extension 137 or 577-6037. Both of those numbers and the information in detail are in the daily scoop. If anything should change, you'll be notified through the daily scoop. The North and South Neighborhood Protocol that we have been functioning as we had positive cases on the North and South, but it's been more than 3 weeks now since we've had residents on the North side and the South side who are positive. So we've eliminated the North and South Neighborhood Protocol. So we do, again, please mask and social distance when you're inside our buildings. And follow the MacArthur Center protocols for the pool and MacArthur Center that Allison has set up. But you no longer, the folks who live north of Cressup can go south of Cressup, and the folks that live south of Cressup can go north of Cressup. Chapel service and chapel events will continue to do live stream in channel 733, but as of this Sunday, the 19th, our hope is that you will register to attend the chapel service. We can accommodate up to 30. I'm looking at Ada to make sure I'm getting it right. We can accommodate up to 30 residents. So if you could please just register with Carol or with Ada to let them know. With Etta, yeah, she's saying just call Etta to register with Etta. If you'd like, we'll have social distancing within the chapel, and then we'll do a cleaning prior to that to make sure that we minimize the risk to any of our residents. Strategic, those who are involved in strategic planning, those who are vaccinated residents and staff can attend in person when there's meetings. Those meetings are usually held in the boardroom and assisted living. People from outside external community who are on an action team will continue to Zoom into these meetings. Life Enrichment Program will continue with the smaller groups of 10 inside the buildings with masks and social distancing. There's been Michelle Yeager, our infection control nurse and ADON, has done a great job working with independent living apartment residents, trying to set up protocols for things like playing cards and bowling and different things to make it easier for our residents to continue to participate in programs in the game room. So appreciate Michelle's efforts and the patience of the card players and all the folks in independent living. Coffee service in 4 Bunker. That is from 8 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. Monday through Friday, and it's served by our staff to the residents in 4 Bunker. MacArthur has their service out on the porch, has their coffee service out on the porch Monday through Friday as well. We haven't opened the coffee machine in the Port Mcgrath lobby at this point because we don't have staff at this point to staff and man that coffee station, and I think that we're also looking at a new piece of equipment to replace the one that's in there. Vol Shop and Bid House, Carol Brown and the volunteers of the Vol Shop intend to open this Friday, and also on September 24th, they intend to open the Vol Shop. There'll be more information in the scoop for details, but just be aware that they're going to have separate times for residents and employees. They're going to have a separate time for each resident and employees, and they're requiring that only vaccinated residents and staff will be allowed in the Vol Shop due to the risk of COVID transmission among unvaccinated staff and residents. You'll continue to be required to mask and social distancing in the Vol Shop, and hand sanitizer going in and coming out of the Vol Shop. So you'll be seeing more information in the Daily Scoop for any details relative to the Vol Shop. I spoke with Doug Mosman from the Bid House, or Doug had emailed me saying they just don't have enough stuff right now to open the Bid House, so once he gets a few more items and they're able to fill the Bid House, he'll be announcing the Bid House opening. Let's see. Florida Presbyterian home vendors. We again stress only necessary vendors will be allowed on campus during this period. That's people who are coming on campus to provide home health or private duty, or if there's a safety or regulatory need for people from the outside to be on the campus providing a service. Vendors that want to come onto the campus need to be reviewed or signed off on by me or Maria during this time. We have sent out an announcement to home care providers, so if you're a resident and you have a home health care aide that comes in to your house or apartment, we have sent to all the home health care providers that their employees are required to be vaccinated for COVID by November 1st, just like our employees are. So I haven't followed up to see if we're getting a whole lot of feedback on that, but we'll check on that this Friday to kind of see where we're at with feedback. RL, residential living and independent living residents going off campus. Certainly you are independent, you can go off campus. We would just suggest that you wear your mask, try to avoid large public settings indoors, maintain social distancing as much as possible. RL and IL residents returning from vacation, we suggest if you'd like should self-isolate for 5 days if you were at an event where social distancing among people you don't live with was not possible. Example, attending a wedding. Continue to wear a mask and social distance. When you return, you can also get a COVID rapid test through Michelle Yeager, our infection control nurse in ADON. Michelle can provide you with a COVID rapid test. If you do experience symptoms, please contact your physician and Pam to let them know that you're experiencing COVID-type symptoms, and we have a list of the symptoms in the update. But the best thing is either get the rapid test and or lay low for 5 days and self-isolate. Let's see. We will have our call on Thursday, the weekly resident conference call. On that call, we primarily focus on the update, and it's primarily focused on COVID. But at the end of the call, we also open it up for any other topics that you guys want to talk about. The last thing I want to cover relative to RLIL update and COVID is when we put in the mandate, the vaccine mandate for our staff, we started to hear stories about staff who had been vaccinating, who have received the vaccine, chastising staff who haven't received the vaccine. We also heard a few stories of the reverse of that. Staff that hadn't been vaccinated making fun of staff that had been vaccinated. Then recently, last week, we heard of some residents that were saying to the staff, have you been vaccinated or not? And saying to staff, I don't want you in my apartment, I don't want you in my house if you haven't been vaccinated. So sadly, one of the byproducts of this is we're seeing these conflicts among staff as well as among residents and staff. So in our recent employee town hall meetings, we shared it's not appropriate to chastise anybody for the personal decision they make regarding the vaccine, that's not acceptable behavior, and that we would address that as a performance issue if that was continued. With our residents, I would ask you as a resident, if you are concerned about your health and having a staff person in your house or apartment, and you have that concern, don't put the employee on the spot. Go to their manager, come to me, and let me know your concerns, let me know, what your issues are. But please do not ask a staff person. Number one, that's personal information that's protected by HIPAA. They really don't have to share whether or not they've been vaccinated. That's something that they do not have to. And remember, they've got till November 1st. So the other thing is, you're pressing them, and maybe they're in the process of thinking about it, and then you're putting that extra pressure. So I would just ask, if you do have a concern, go to their direct supervisor to talk about it, and if we can make accommodations to meet your needs, we will. If we can't, recognize that these people have been providing care to our residents since February of 2020, and it's those folks who really kept the numbers down here and have done a really good job kind of managing by wearing the mask and social distancing and trying to keep people safe. So again, please don't put the employee on the spot. If you do have a concern, you certainly have that right to share that concern, but please share it with me or with the person's supervisor, and we'll do the best we can to accommodate you. Okay. So that's it for the COVID protocols, if anybody has any questions or comments regarding the COVID protocols. Okay, I'm going to cover a little bit about the booster. We're still getting quite a few questions from residents. I had a question the other day from a resident saying, is it safe for me to get my booster when I'm getting another shot for seasonal flu, or when can I get it? I've got other shots that I have to take. What should I do about the booster? What we've been sharing is at this point in time, and Pam had sent out an informational update that we received on Thursday last week about COVID vaccine booster. The key thing is right now, it's only available to people with immunocompromised patients. It's not, the booster vaccine is not available for other folks. It's solely for people who are immunocompromised. If you're not sure if you're immunocompromised or not and are now eligible for a booster shot, talk to your physician. Definitely talk to your physician. If you have questions about, well, if I do get the booster, can I get it the same time I get the seasonal? If I have other shots, how long do I have to wait between shots? That's you and your physician. That is really important that you talk to your physician because everybody's health is different. We don't know what medicines you're on or any type of other vaccines that you're getting. So if you have questions about the timing of these things, these vaccines, the booster vaccines, please talk to your physician and find out from your physician. Because again, if you are immunocompromised, you are eligible right now to get the booster. Otherwise, what we're hearing is that sometime in the fall, we were hearing a date of September 20th, that we would get more information from CMS regarding the booster vaccine. There's still some discussion and debate as to how that would roll out and when that would roll out. So right now, we don't have any new information on that. So once we do, we will let you know. Any questions on the booster vaccine? Okay, I'm going to move forward. In independent living apartments, we have, right now, we've got 10 independent living apartments that are available. We have 2 houses that are available, 2 of our residential living houses. We have contracts for 2 apartments and 1 house, and we have a contract pending for a house. So Cher and Skylar are doing a good job, best they can, to move these forward and get additional residents here into our community. The best thing is word of mouth. So if you as a resident, if you have friends or family that are thinking about moving to a retirement community, please talk to them. Now would be a great time for them to join our community. Strategic planning update. Our teams, we've got about 12 action planning teams that have been meeting. Most are on are about completed in their second meeting and going into their third and final meetings. One is just starting off. So it is moving forward. What's really exciting about what's happening is the people on these action teams are coming up with some amazing ideas to make the quality of life for our residents better, to make the employment engagement of our staff better. There's a lot of interesting things. We had a resident that talked to us about a Dimensions of Wellness assessment tool and developing this Dimensions of Wellness assessment tool, and that was I think that was in Teresa and Allison's action team. We've got another group that is looking at the tools that we use to assess people with dementia, and then what type of training and programs do we have to better support people with dementia in all levels of living. We've got a group that's looking at fundraising and coming up with ideas for fundraising. We've got a group that Ed and I co-chair that is focused on community impact and how we outreach into the broader community. So there's a lot of things that are coming out of these meetings that I'm just really thankful to the team leaders and the residents and staff that are participating in this. They're coming up with some things that I think are going to make Florida Presbyterian homes even better. And we'll be reporting in more detail as we start to define the action plans. Once we get the action plans presented to the planning committee in September and October, it'll go to the board in the October meeting For the action teams that aren't completed at that point, we hope to be completed by the end of November, so we can present it to the board and they can review it in their January board meeting. So we're continuing to move that forward and really looking forward to the outcomes from those efforts. Master site planning overview. We have talked about this so many times in the past. We have a committee now that'll kick off in January, and we are, the two first steps in the project are doing a market feasibility study that'll start this fall and will be completed by year end. And in the market feasibility, it'll tell us how strong is our market for the development of additional independent living apartments in our market. We'll also look at, get some information on memory care and get some information and data around the potential of memory care program on the campus. So that will move forward. That market study tells us, is there a market to do any additional development, for those areas? So it's extremely important exercise. And we're working with Clifton Larson Allen, who does market feasibility work as part of their program. And again, that'll be completed by year end. The other thing that we're doing, and this will happen in November, we have a company called Arch Limited, and Rick and I have been talking with them. What they will do is they will be coming onto the campus. Rick has been sending them information about our physical plant, our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and our age of our houses and so on, our physical plant issues. And they're going to come out and assess all of our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, as well as the physical plant elements like roofs, walls, foundations, so on. And what they do is their engineers review it, and they will tell us, over the next 10 years, you're going to be spending this much money on these pieces of equipment. And these are the pieces of equipment you got to start preparing to replace. So we have an idea with our buildings, what's their lifespan? What's the lifespan, and how much of an investment do we need to make in our physical plant to maintain the physical plant? That'll be done by year end as well. So when we kick off with the team, the master site planning team, when we kick that off in January, we'll be able to hand them the information on, here's what the market tells us, here's what the investment we need to make in our physical plant to maintain it, and then we can start building a plan focusing on the sixplex, the property that is the sixplex, as well as our property at Cannon and New York, Highland and Lakeside. So we'll continue moving that forward. Website update. Skylar has been doing a great job working with Attain, which is our marketing company. The website should be fully functional and operational by the end of this month. And so a lot of our team members have given feedback into their specific areas. And the last piece I think we're working on right now is getting a PayPal account so people can make a donation to Florida Presbyterian Home through PayPal right from the website. That's something actually that our fundraising committee that met for strategic plan came up with and said we really need to do that. So there's a lot of pieces that are getting wrapped up, and Skylar's working through that. So the website will hope to kick it off the end of this month. Resident handbook. Thanks, Steve. Resident handbook. Janine has been working through that process. She's going to be sending that out to the task force of residents that's been working on this handbook for about a year now. It'll also go to the resident council officers for their input. And then once that's completed, we will present it to the Quality of Life Committee of the board. Excuse me. Meal credit review. As part of the handbook, there is a section in there on meal credits, and we're getting feedback from the task force of residents. We've gotten about 3 emails about how should we manage the meal credits. In the handbook, we have a protocol that we want to have feedback on where you couldn't carry more than 5 meals over. And so that would be the maximum, not a dollar amount, but 5 meals over in your credit. The challenge we have is history and the different ways we've done meal credits over the years, and how some people are like, well, wait a second, I've got hundreds of meal credits. So we've got to work with our residents to figure out, this task force, what do we do for those folks that are carrying these large balances, and how do we manage that and take care of that, and then get everybody else to that policy, that new policy. So that's what we're working on right now. One of the questions that came up was, well, can't we just have it where it's like run like a restaurant, where if I go, I pay, and if I don't go, I don't pay? The reason we can't do that is because of our size and scale. If we opened up a restaurant to the entire public and said anybody who wants to come eat here, we would have the potential of hundreds of thousands of people that can make the choice to come and eat here. Here we've got, in independent living and residential living, about 200 people, and a lot of them are on meal plans or residential living where they don't even have a meal. They don't even have a meal option, and others have 1 meal a day. So for us to be able to have staff and to be able to operate and function, we have to have that as part of the monthly fee, so we can pay the staff and so we can purchase produce and things like that. It's not like a restaurant where we just open it up and hope to fill it. We can't say to our staff, well, gee, we're not full, we're going to close it. And it's impossible to run a dining room with our scale in a restaurant style model. It's just, we wouldn't be able to staff it appropriately, and purchasing would be a nightmare. So we've got to figure out a way to make the meal credits financially sustainable for both the organization and also fair to the residents who've been collecting meal credits, for quite a long time. So that's what we're working through there. 4-bunker exterior is almost done. I'm hearing really good things from the residents. 1 more week, Rick just informed me, 1 more week for 4-bunker. I think it's primarily the walkways now. Handrails. Finishing with, thanks Rick, finishing the front up and another coat, and so, but we're hearing really positive things from the residents, and that's great. They're very excited about that being done. And then we're doing a power wash on the chapel as well as Bauer Haynes. So we'll get that queued up here.
Next week they're looking at, depending on the weather, how it goes with the exterior, so they can jump on the pressure washing.
Okay, thanks Rick. So what Rick was sharing with me is if everything moves forward with the painting this week, then into next week, we'll be able to do power washing if the weather holds up. It'll be in the Daily Scoop or Now Read This, so you'll have an update to know when the power washing will be occurring. But we're looking forward to getting those pieces done as well. And then on the interior, for the 4-bunker entranceway and family room seating area, there has been a carpet that's been picked out, and a vinyl flooring, hard surface flooring that's been picked out. So the way it will look is the seating area by the fireplace will be in a carpet with a design, and there'll be carpet squares in a design, and the walkways from the main entrance for 4-bunker into that room around the carpet all the way up to the elevator in the main hallway will be a hard surface, will be like a vinyl surface, it look like a hardwood floor type surface. And then the carpet will be that large area where all the seating is around the fireplace. And then one of the things that Rick and Skylar and the team are looking at is the wall where the fireplace is, if we can manage time-wise and budget-wise to be able to paint that and update that area as well. And then going into next year, we'll be focusing more on the rest of that room in that interior, because for a while there, it's not going to quite match with the wallpaper and the flooring. So hopefully next year we'll be able to get it into the budget where we're able to take down wallpaper and repaint that whole area, and possibly add carpet into that main corridor into the history room as well. Hopefully next year if we can get it in the budget. Thank you. So October 11th, Rick has just shared, October 11th is when the flooring for the 4-bunker lobby comes in. Any questions about my report at this point? Excuse me? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Any questions or comments? If not, I'm going to turn it over to Linda Weber. Linda is from the accounting department. She manages the accounting program for us, and she's got Sabrina here as well as backup. If any questions, it's good to have two. That's great. And what Linda's going to do is going to talk about managed care. We've had a number of residents that ask, who does Porter McGrath have contracts with? And we've had situations, not only here, but in everywhere that I've worked, there's been situations where a resident signs up for a Medicare managed care program, Medicare Advantage, and then they find out we're not one of their preferred providers, and they're not covered if they come here. So this is really important presentation, and I just appreciate Linda and her team putting this together. And then we'll have an opportunity for questions. You all received this. It was sent out in the packet along with the agenda. So Linda, thank you for doing this.
And everyone here is okay? Everyone here? So, oh, good. So I recently attended a session at Florida Healthcare on managed care, and Joe asked me to share a little bit. And Sabrina in our office also helps send out claims every month. So we both kind of tag team some of these payers. So the term managed care is, and I don't know if you have the presentation up with you, but managed care is also known as Medicare replacement because it replaces your traditional Medicare plans, and it's also known as a Part C plan. So you will hear those terms as well. Can you hear? Sorry, hang on a second. Oh, there we go. Is that better? Oh, I got to put it on. Oh, thank you.
And it's much better. No problem.
Can everybody hear me better? Thank you. Etta helped me out. So I didn't know if you heard me or not, but the Medicare Advantage plans is also known as a Medicare replacement plan or a Medicare C plan. And if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you will not have traditional Medicare. It replaces your traditional Medicare plan. A lot of people choose the Medicare Advantage plans because they do offer more services, such as glasses, hearing aids. Another reason they look really nice in the beginning is because their monthly premiums are much lower than your traditional supplement plan that you choose when you have Medicare. What will come back on the end, though, is your deductibles and your copays are a lot more out of pocket on your Medicare Advantage plans. So you don't pay more every month, but if you need to go to the hospital or skilled nursing, that's where your copays and your deductibles will add up to be much more than your monthly premium. If you disenroll from a retiree plan, you may not be able to rejoin. So that is something to consider as well. So if you have your supplemental plan as part of a retirement package and you choose to leave that, it may be a lot harder to re-enroll. And when I attended the seminar recently, I was really surprised to see the percentages of Advantage plans in the state of Florida now. It is getting really, really high. Some of the counties are as high as 70%. which I was really surprised, but they do make it, they make it seem very nice to come over to the plan because of the extra benefits that they offer. There's two types of networks that you will hear. When you have an Advantage plan, it will be an HMO or a PPO. An HMO allows you in-network benefits, and the primary care physician is the key person. If you're on a PPO, it's in and out of network benefits, and you have to validate network copays and patient liability. So if you go to the hospital, our admission team will obtain an authorization from your insurance company, the skilled nursing admission team, and that's when the case manager at the hospital and your case manager with your Advantage plan will follow you while you're admitted in the facility. In the presentation is also some information on the different Advantage plans, and I was surprised to see this myself, that Humana is in the lead right now, and then it's followed by Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then United Healthcare. So I was really surprised to see Humana. We have another slide that explains the difference between your traditional supplemental plan and your Medicare Advantage plan. And you can see right there, what I was talking about earlier, your traditional plan has higher premiums. Your Medicare Advantage plan has lower premiums, but they have copays, whereas your supplemental plan does not have copays. On your traditional supplemental, you can choose your doctors, and your Advantage plan, depending on if you have an HMO or PPO, you could be restricted to the network providers. You don't need referrals for traditional supplemental, but you do have to have referrals for your Advantage plan. And like I said, it also talks about the extra benefits an Advantage plan may offer with the vision, the hearing, and also fitness. On our very last page, we have a list as of August. We are contracted with 11 different insurance companies for the skilled nursing, and these on the first column are all the ones that we have for skilled nursing for the Advantage plans. Right now we have 11 of them. And we do not contract with Humana right now. And that was why I was surprised. That was the biggest one. So does anybody have any questions that we could answer? I guess not. Sabrina and I are located in the accounting office, and our hours are from 8 to 4:30. So if you think of a question, feel free to call us or stop by the office. We'll be happy to help you.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you. Thank you, Linda and Sabrina. This is a topic that often comes up around October, where you start getting inundated with mailing for Medicare Advantage plans. So the information that you have hopefully will be helpful as you're considering if you are looking at changing your Medicare coverage and your Medicare plan. The contracts can change. So we work with an organization, as Linda said, called FAHA, that is negotiating contracts on behalf of providers, including Florida Presbyterian Homes. So the key thing is you've got this list now, so you have an idea of who we have contracts with, but when you talk to these different Medicare Advantage providers, they have different products within these plans. So you want to make sure that you ask them and you get it in writing that Mcgrath, Florida Presbyterian Homes, is a provider within their plan that they would receive benefit coverage for. So it's always important when you're considering to make sure you get that question answered, and to get that question answered in writing, preferably. Okay, now I'd like to introduce Maria Rivera and Pam Herbert. Maria and Pam are going to give updates on Mcgrath and assisted living. Maria, Pam? Thank you. Thanks, Linda.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? I was got water on my property. Just gotta put power on. Okay. Testing? Okay, thank you. All right, so for Port Mcgrath, our census today is 52. We have 3 openings on the second floor. We do have continually open admissions from our admissions team, from the hospital for the first floor, steady on the second floor. And then moving on to COVID, just want to let you know that our positivity rate has been decreasing slowly, but it's still very high at 22%. We had 104 employees tested last week, and all were negative. That was Thursdays. We do continue to do point of care, what we call rapid test, point of care testing, if anyone comes from vacation and did not test on our every 2 or twice a week testing, or if someone is just not feeling well, they can go to Michelle Yeager, our infection preventionist, registered nurse. So throughout the week, she does those rapid tests, and fortunately, they have been coming negative. Unfortunately, today, this morning, she did do a rapid, and it was positive. So that does reset our outbreak testing for another 14 days. And like I said, with the positivity rate over 10%, we do have to test twice a week, but with outbreak testing, which means that any time that we have just one staff or resident that's positive, we have to test all Port Mcgrath residents and all employees, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated. That has not changed yet. So with visitation, we continue with compassionate visitation for our Port Mcgrath residents. The admissions team and social service team has the list. They share that with the screeners so that everyone will know who is a compassionate visitor. And we do ask and urge everyone that is visiting to keep on a mask, wear it appropriately, whether they are visiting indoors or outdoors. Outdoor visitation is encouraged, but with the still heat and weather, we know that that is not always the best decision for our residents. So we urge everyone to please wear their mask. And in our Friday COVID meetings, we have talked to the personnel who are doing manager on duty on weekends to make sure that they're doing, we do rounds, but just to make sure that we're going outside more frequently as well to monitor people that go outside, just have a false sense of just a false sense and they tend to just take off their mask, and it's not to the best interest of our residents or our staff or each other. We do have vaccination clinics on September 17, followed by October 15 for our November 1st deadline, and that is for Moderna or the Johnson & Johnson. The Pfizer, like Joe mentioned, we do not have a lead on the Pfizer vaccination or those boosters yet. We should be receiving more guidance from CMS and from the agency come September 20th. I do want to mention that for the past year, since last August, we've had an interim medical director. Dr. Byron Dean has been our interim medical director. And if you see him around, just thank him for his services as interim. He will continue to be an attending physician here for the homes. However, starting this week, we do have a new medical director, and that is Dr. Daniel Hayt. Dr. Daniel Hayt is the Vice President of Infectious Diseases in Central Florida. He is affiliated with USF and with Lakeland Regional Hospital, as well as Tampa Bay. He studied at the Morsani College of Medicine for USF. And under Dr. Hayt, many of you will recall Cindy Brown. So Cindy Brown will be an extended provider under Dr. Hayt, and she will be here up to 20 hours a week, and she will, with both of their expertise, bring a lot of education. He is our medical director, not just for Porter Mcgrath, but in the contract, we made sure that we included a life plan community, and that way he can bring resources, education, lectures to the residents and to the staff. Any questions? I do want to mention that we're also in seasonal influenza. There hasn't been any reported outbreaks from Department of Health, but we have seen 2 cases so far of employees that have come to work and are not feeling well. They go to the infection preventionist, they test negative, but they do have symptoms, and it just putting our radar up that it could be seasonal flu. So we are in influenza season, and again, I just ask that if you're not feeling well, just don't come and visit anyone in the homes, in assisted living, or anyone that lives in in a communal area, whether that is the A building, B building. If you have any influenza, flu-like symptoms, please stay home, call your physician, and get some rest and plenty of fluids, and just reach out to your physician, but do not visit, please. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I want to begin with a shout out to assisted living, our residents, and our phenomenal staff of assisted living. It is National Assisted Living Week. Woo-hoo, there's some hoo-hoos going on in the room. We're so excited for this week, and we have special treats and events planned for this week, thanks to our wonderful Life Enrichment team. So stay tuned each day for something special. And I just want you to know from me that I appreciate each and every one of our residents and our staff in assisted living. You make it a pleasure to come to work every day and to serve such wonderful people. Just an update on COVID to piggyback on what Joe and Maria just said. Assisted living guidelines are not the same as the skilled nursing facility guidelines, so we do not have to test the staff and the residents on a regular basis. We did have an outbreak at one point, and our last test was on August 25th. Everyone tested negative, and so we are no longer testing, but we do check our residents' vital signs, their temperature and oxygen saturation daily, to look for any signs and symptoms. And even with the staff, they are to report to me if there are any changes in how they feel, and we will definitely do rapid testing to catch something early. So Visitation is now open back up to assisted living from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. We just asked, because I had a question this morning about having groups of family members coming in, wanting to do an indoor kind of visitation. Please be mindful that the positivity rate, as Maria alluded to, is still quite high, and the risk is real. And so we don't want to have another outbreak situation in assisted living. So visitation is encouraged outdoors if possible. Indoors, if it's 2 people, that's fine. But children are not able to get vaccinated at this point, so we are not recommending that children come into the building. So infants, toddlers, we ask that you please not consider bringing them into the assisted living building. Also piggybacking on what Maria brought up was the influenza. I just want you all to know that we, yes, have scheduled a flu vaccine clinic on October 15th here in the chapel. beginning at 7:30 a.m. I will be receiving consent forms for that event. Once I receive the consent forms, I will send them out to all areas of living. For staff and residents, you may get your flu vaccine here on October 15th. There will be multiple stations providing the vaccine, and when I receive the consents, I will be contacting you to schedule an appointment so that we are avoiding a large crowd gathered waiting for their vaccine. So please be patient with myself and my team as we endeavor to take that on to schedule a time so that you will be safe here in the chapel. Also want to give a big shout out and a large thank you, air hugs and kisses to Miss Donna Jones and her team, who did a phenomenal job in the assisted living garden. It is, if you haven't seen it, it is beautiful. The flowers were chosen very carefully, very thoughtfully to bring beauty and something for all of us to enjoy. And from my heart to our administrators and executive team hearts, our residents and staff, we want to thank you very much for all of the hard work that our resident volunteers and our board volunteers have done to create such a beautiful space for us to enjoy. We're hoping to kick off a formal thank you presentation and like a grand opening kind of celebratory event once the COVID vaccine positivity rate has come down to a safer level. But we didn't want it to go unnoticed. So thank you again for all that you do.
Thanks, Pam. So now I'd like to ask Etta to come up. Etta's going to speak on behalf of Samantha Barrett, our Life Enrichment Director, and give an update on Life Enrichment. And then she's going to go right into the spiritual life update right after she gives the Life Enrichment update. Etta?
Enrichment team met today, and we started our planning for the fall winter season. So for the month of October, we're going to have a fall festival day, which will be October 29th. It will be in combination of all areas of wellness. We're going to have a car show. We're going to have a fall cookout with the wellness committee. So it'll be a combination of using the A parking lot as well as Drain Park for that fun day. And so you'll get information coming up on that in the next week or so. Allison and I will get that information typed up and get that to you. So mark that on your calendar for the 29th, and it'll begin at 9:30 for the car show, from 9:30 to 11:30, and then 11:30 to 1 o'clock will be the picnic in Drain Park with games, and we're going to also try to have live entertainment for us that day as well. Then October the 30th is our Alzheimer's Walk, so go ahead and mark that day on your calendar. We will have it at Tigertown. It will be at the stadium there, and it will be a live event this year, so we'll be walking in small groups, and we're encouraging residents and staff to participate in that day. Allison will get that information out in the Hunter Herald, especially for the staff in October, to wear your purple shirts on Fridays, and residents as well. And if you need to order shirts, get with Ann Smith, the secretary, to make sure that you get your order in so you'll be ready for October to support Alzheimer's. And yes, we did start talking about Christmas. It's that time of year where we need to start putting some things on our calendar for that. We're going to do a couple of community outreach things, so you'll get more information about that as we do that as a team as well, getting ready for the holidays, and how we can not only spread joy and Christ love on our campus, but how we can reach out to the community and partner with some local charities in our area to make sure that we all have a great Christmas, even though we're still moving through this pandemic. So now you did hear the good news from Joe that we will start having chapel services. I'll have the chapel set up for 30 people, but wait until you see that in writing in your Now Read This. You'll get the details on that. Please contact me if you have any questions or concerns about coming, but many of you know we'll follow the same protocols. We'll have the exit doors marked and entrance doors. We won't cross those areas. We'll make sure that there's an even flow coming in and out. And just remember, on Sundays when you're here with me, I will not be down in the sanctuary part socializing with residents. I'll remain in the pulpit from the time you enter until you leave, just to keep us socially distanced, and we remember wear our masks during the services as well. So if you have any questions, please just give me a call. Otherwise, we'll continue with those protocols. I will start a log again so that we can do contact tracing just in case we do have something come up, and I do have all the signage and that information in the chapel, so we can just pick up where we left off from there. I can say I'm excited because I've been singing to the camera, so to have some faces in the chapel with me will be more than welcome. And don't worry about an overflow. We've pretty much kept to about 25 to 27 people when we were doing it before. So don't feel like you don't want to come because you want to give your seat to someone else. Just give me a call if you have a question about that. We still will be doing the live stream. We've been having about 25 people that are signed on for live stream consistently on Sunday. And we want to give a great shout out to Rick and his team for making sure that our equipment's been running well. They did a good job in troubleshooting that. And I believe we're on the right track. So thank you so much for that, and for all of you who are tuning in. So we'll continue to keep you posted on that as well. And let's just get ready to move into Advent with great celebrations and joy in our hearts and a lot of gratitude. The residents in A and B building will tell you that they have a mandate. When we finish a sentence, we have to say, I'm grateful. And so let's keep that going in this season, that no matter what's going on, we still have a reason to be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Etta. Just to close out the agenda for today, the only other update is a Memorial Garden update. We have a meeting this Wednesday with Donna Jones, Dick Huggins, Etta, myself, and Rick, and we're meeting with Chad, who is a landscape firm that we use for project work here, and we're going to put together hopefully the softscape planting. Some of you have noticed that we've dug out two areas, two plots in the Memorial Garden. Plots in the Memorial Garden, probably shouldn't have used those terms, but yeah, there's pavers that are going to go into those two grassy areas in the Memorial Garden. We're going to put pavers in, and then we've ordered benches so we can have level seating and be able to put the benches in once they arrive. It's probably going to be another couple weeks before we get the benches, but they have been ordered. We'll get the pavers in, put the benches in, and then all the old wooden timbers that used to cover the square around the Memorial Garden itself, where the sundial is, those timbers have been removed, and we're replacing those timbers. And then we're coming up now with getting Donna Jones' input with her knowledge as a master gardener to help us pick out plantings for that area. So once the hardscape is completed, Ryan Ellerby and his team are working on that. Once that's completed, we'll start doing the plantings in the Memorial Garden. So it's been almost a year since we did our fundraising campaign for the Memorial Garden. Our goal was to raise $10,000. We raised $15,000. We've gotten generous contribution of additional $10,000 from the Bid House and Vol Shop. So we really appreciate the generosity of the folks in the Vol Shop and the Bid House, and the residents, board members, and staff who contributed to the Memorial Garden. And we're grateful for Donna and her expertise to help us figure out what's the best plantings for the Memorial Garden. So with that, it's about 2:05, and we're going to close out the agenda Are there any questions, comments about any of the topics we covered or about any other Florida Presbyterian home topics you would like us to cover? Any other questions or comments or thoughts? So I thank all the presenters today for presenting. Really appreciate your efforts in providing information to our residents. God be with you. Thank you for being on this presentation. Take care. Bye-bye.